going on, guys? It's your boy LQ, Mr. Real Deal Fantasy HQ, and this is the Fantasy Football Picks and Bets presented by Prize Picks. Make sure you guys sign up today and use promo code MMN. You guys will be set up for success, and they're matching up to $100 on your deposit, so go do it now. It's not too late. You can still do it right now. Promo code MMN. And you guys will be able to bring home the gold. Have a great show today. Got recap highlights. I got some injury reports. I got some waiver wire ads that you need to be adding right now as you're watching this video. And I got, unfortunately, the panic button. Basically what it is, it's going to give you my levels of concern on some of these players. Are we going to panic? Are we going to trade them, cut them, bench them, et cetera, et cetera? That should be fun once we get into that later into the show. So let's jump right into it. Let's not waste any more time. So let's start with the highlights. Cooper Kupp. This is not a homer pick. He really killed it today. He had 169 yards, 2 touchdowns. Matthew Stafford is hitting on all cylinders with Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is looking like top 10. I'm just going to say it right now. If this keeps up throughout the season, he could be top 5 or wide receiver 1. I don't know. But back-to-back games, 100-yard games, and he's finding the end zone. He's looking like the man. He's Stafford's definite number 1 target right now. Matthew Stafford is looking great. Sean McVay's opened up that playbook like we all knew what was going to happen. The complete upgrade at quarterback, it is showing. So Cooper Kupp had himself a day. Now, moving on to Tyler Lockett. He locked it up today, man. He's showing up. Russell Wilson finding him on another deep pass. Put up 151 yards and 1 touchdown. That was a hell of a game. I definitely want to shout out the Titans defense. They played it right to the wire. Russell Wilson is still the guy. He's going to find Tyler Lockett downfield if you give him opportunity. So hopefully this keeps up all the way into December, because you know how Russell Wilson, Tyler Lockett, they start off hot in the beginning of the season, and then once we get into the colder weather, December to be specific, the kitchen's closed. So moving on, Courtland Sutton, bounce back season. I'm so proud of him today. 159 yards. Teddy Bridgewater was finding his man. Courtland Sutton putting up big fantasy points today. I definitely think Courtland Sutton is well past the injury. He's ready to step up as a wide receiver 1 that we knew he was. Man, he had himself a day. I was really excited to see that he's healthy, seeing that he's playing up to a higher level than we thought, going into this offseason. We thought he was going to start off slow. We thought, Jerry Jeudy was going to blow him out of the water, et cetera, et cetera. But unfortunately, Jerry Jeudy is facing injury right now. He'll be out for a couple of weeks. But Courtland Sutton stepping up, showing up, and showing out today, which is amazing to see. Moving on to another storyline that's been going on for the last 2 weeks, back practically the entire last year, actually. Tony Pollard put up 109 yards on the ground, and he showed some PPR upside, catching passes out of the backfield. Zeke, he had a good game as well. He had 71 yards, but what we really need to focus on is that these two running backs can coexist. They both put up fantasy points today. Tony Pollard put up a little bit more fantasy points and yards, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm not panicking on Zeke yet, but we'll get into that later into the show when we get to the panic button show segment. So again, Tony Pollard put up 109 yards. He's looking good. These two running backs can coexist. Dak is looking great, coming out with a win over the Chargers. I definitely think, Tony Pollard should be a solid flex play week to week as long as Dak and that offense is moving forward. So again, Zeke, he had a good game as well. I'm not going to be hating on Zeke like how everybody else was the past 2 weeks. So those are my highlighted guys that I just wanted to give a quick shout out for. You guys probably been having them on your starting lineup, so you know exactly how they did. But we're moving on to the injury recap. This is the worst part of the show. I hate reporting injuries. I hate reporting a lot of injuries at that. And some of these guys, man, it's just very unfortunate that they go down the way they do. But let's start off with Tua going down with a rib injury in the first quarter, which is very unfortunate for the Dolphins, who got shut out by the Bills 35-0. They did not put 1 point on the board. That offense did not look great with Jacoby Brissett stepping in as a starting quarterback. And I definitely feel for Tua, man. He's faced injury basically since the beginning of his career in college, of course. And it's like, man, Tua, we want you to get back on the field. Speedy recovery for sure, but he's dealing with a rib injury. I don't have a time frame exactly how long he's going to be missing or if he missed any time at all. But the way it looked and him getting off the field, it didn't look too good, so he's likely to miss some time. Now, Jarvis Landry dealing with a knee injury. It's unfortunate the Browns are losing another wide receiver, being that we haven't seen Odell Beckham suit up for a regular season game yet. Now, Jarvis Landry is dealing with a knee injury, and we've seen Jarvis get used all over the field. Red zone, he's taking carries, et cetera, et cetera. And now they're losing that on the Browns offense. So that's very unfortunate as well. Next up, everybody was celebrating to have Justin Fields on the field, but it was at the expense of Andy Dalton tweaking his knee on a non-contact injury, running out of balance. It looked really awkward and not too sure what happened, but not too sure also on the time frame that he may miss. But he came back out and then he went back into the locker room. So it looked like it was more serious than Andy Dalton thought. So Justin Fields is the starting quarterback now. And most likely how I see this playing out, Matt Nagy's probably going to bench Andy Dalton now because Justin Fields probably going to look good. He's going to be able to put up points, et cetera, et cetera. It makes no sense to rip the rookie out if he's playing good, if he's hot, if he's getting the reps, he's getting the knowledge, he's knowing the playbook a little bit more better, and not developing bad habits, which is something you want, your rookie quarterbacks to just go out there and kind of just get in the mud, go out there with the Sharks and actually produce and be good. And I think Justin Fields will be that rookie quarterback. So moving on to another injury, which was unfortunate, man. Tyrod Taylor faced injury with a hamstring. He's already called out in week 3 that he won't be there. It's just unfortunate because it was on a touchdown run, him scrambling out, and it just didn't look good for Tyrod Taylor. He knew as soon as he scored the touchdown, he went down. He's a little emotional about it, but yeah, Tyrod Taylor out for week 3 confirmed with the hamstring injury. So here's another one that I was very, very frustrated about because it was at the end of the game. He didn't need to be on the field. But Deontay Johnson, man, hurt his knee on the end of the play. It was just a useless play. He should have been on the sideline. He should have just been, already in the locker room, like on his way home type ordeal. It's just like the very last play of the game. He hurt his knee. He was on the sideline. He was looking a little emotional as well, holding his knee. The injury just was God, man, Deontay Johnson, we all are pushing for him for our fantasy rosters, but I'm pushing for him because of how electric he is as a Pittsburgh Steeler, as a wide receiver. He's looking like he's getting the volume that Antonio Brown was getting. And it's like, oh, man, it was just so dumb to have him on the field. He didn't need to be there. But, again, let me calm down. Moving on to Darrell Henderson, he's facing a rib injury as well. He went out late in the third quarter. Not too sure how long he's going to be out as well. But Sony Michel was able to step in and take some reps and be able to get used to that Rams offense. So I'll jump into Sony Michel a little bit later in the show. But Darrell Henderson's facing a rib injury, which is unfortunate because he was already looking like he can handle the full workload. He was catching passes out of the backfield, scoring touchdowns, being the goal line back, et cetera, et cetera. But now he'll be sidelined with a rib injury, not too sure on that time frame. Moving on to another running back that was injured. He was a hot commodity last week. A lot of fab money spent on him. Elijah Mitchell dealing with a shoulder injury. Not too sure on the time frame on that as well. Now, Hasty came in. He was able to take some touches. He was able to find the end zone, et cetera, et cetera. But Mitchell got hurt basically on a touchdown that got called back, so kind of wasn't worth it. Now he's dealing with a shoulder injury, so I'm not too sure on time frame. So he'll be sidelined probably for a couple weeks. Now I want to jump into some first look pickups. Some guys you need to be getting on the waiver wire as soon as you can. KJ Osborne from the Vikings, wide receiver, is definitely my number one priority this week. If I'm looking for wide receiver depth, if I'm looking for, a guy that's getting the volume in I'll say a great offense. I'm not going to say a good or bad offense because they look good on Sunday. So I definitely think, KJ is an ad for me, being that he's going to be able to find the end zone as well. He's playing in the slot. He's able to get open, nice separation, great hands. I definitely like KJ to be on my roster as a depth piece. He could possibly be a flex play because back-to-back weeks he's put up 2 double-digit points. And it's like, man, if I can get a guy like that for the cheap, and he's on my my bench as a roster in like a plug and play guy that's going to be on a bye week, or if I face injury, or if my wide receivers just suck right now, KJ could be a nice plug and play guy. So he's definitely the ad this week. Now, the next guy I got, Sony Michel. I mentioned him earlier with Darrell Henderson facing injury. This is a no-brainer here. Now, the Rams are a high-power offense, ton of scoring opportunities. So Sony Michel is definitely a nice plug and play. If you are a Hendo guy who have him on your roster, you must be going to get Sony Michel at all costs so you don't miss a beat. Hendo is putting up a lot of fantasy points, finding the end zone as well. Sony Michel getting into the fourth quarter, he looked good as well, making some plays, getting some looks out of the backfield as well. So it's looking like it's just a toss-up of who can do the job. The job is just there. It's a plug and play. So I think Sony Michel is a no-brainer as a pickup this week. If you haven't already, go ahead and pick him up. It could be a solid, flex play RB2, low-end RB2. I'm not going to full send him just yet. But again, if you lose Hendo, you can just go pick up Sony Michel off the waivers and be a nice plug and play. Now, JaMycal Hasty is definitely a pickup, especially if Mitchell is hurt. That system just looks good on any running back. I definitely think Hasty will be able to come in, handle the 19-plus touches, handle the passes out of backfield, handle the goal line of duty as well. So this is a clear plug and play. You want all parts of that San Francisco running back room. Not I, as a Rams fan, I just don't want to deal with the headache week to week of who's the guy. Now, next up, this is crazy. Cordell Patterson getting touches out of the backfield as if he's a starting running back like RB1 over Mike Davis. Now, Mike Davis ended up getting more carries, but Patterson just simply looked better out of the backfield. And he's catching passes as if he's a wide receiver. I need this dual hybrid threat on my roster as a depth piece. He could be a running back depth piece. He could be a wide receiver depth piece. He can easily be in my flex position handling both roles. So he's going to find a way to get involved. The volume is there for him running. The volume is there for him catching as well. So I think he's getting the leg up on Davis and he's getting the leg up on Gage. This is crazy. Like, Patterson is relevant in 2021. He definitely is an add if you need the depth at running back or wide receiver. Now let's get into some chaos. So we're going to be hitting that panic button on some of these players. Now, I don't want to go too crazy, full sending where we're cutting these guys or, anything like that. Now, you may be wanting to trade these guys or they're going to be hitting the bench, but it's too early to be trying to cut these guys. I think we need to wait and see. So some of these guys, I'm just going to be giving you my levels between 1 through 10 with my concern if we're going to be hitting that panic button. So let's start with Myles Gaskins. Now, Myles Gaskins, honestly, these last 2 weeks, I haven't been liking what I'm seeing with him as my RB2 or in my flex position. Now, 2 weeks in a row, less than 10 carries, what's going on? He's supposed to be this workhorse that we're able to get in the 5th and 6th round. I know he's fending off the Malcolm Brown and everything like that, and Ahmed as well, but man, 2 weeks in a row, less than 10 carries, that's not looking like a workhorse to me. Not saying that these other running backs are taking his touches. It's just that they're not running the ball enough for him to be fantasy relevant. Now, back-to-back weeks with, 8, 9 points, it's like, come on, man. It's very unfortunate. And I'm not going to say that this Tua injury affects him 100%, but Jacoby Brissett at the starting quarterback, it brings less opportunity for him to score. So Gaskins not looking like a great option right now. I'm not saying to go trade him, but there may be some weeks that he's going to be hitting my bench. And Tua missing time, I'm not too sure how long that's going to be. It may not be a lot of scoring opportunity. They just went 35-0 against the Bills. So it's like, not looking good for Gaskins for this next couple of weeks. So might have to hit the bench. I'm not going to trade just yet. I just need to find the time frame between Tua and his injury and how long he's going to miss. And hopefully we can see, the team lean on Gaskins because he does have the PPR upside. He has 10 targets in the last 2 weeks, 9 catches. So it's there. The points are there, but the majority of his points is coming from PPR, man. It's like, come on, bro. We need some carries out of you. We need some touchdowns out of you. We need some type of scoring upside for him to be fantasy relevant, especially if he's our RB2. Now, next up, we're getting into the crazy drama in San Fran. Trey Sermon, oh my God, his first carry, he fumbles it. Then he was punished. He was never heard from again. I definitely think, my concern will be a level 6 here, level 7. Really, it's pretty high. My concern for Trey Sermon is high only for the simple fact that he already was a healthy scratch in week 1. And then he didn't really get involved until later in the game to where his first carry ended up being a fumble. It was like, come on, Sermon. So I think right now he'll see my bench. I'm not cutting him just yet. I still have faith in the system. I still have faith in him. And I definitely think, Trey Sermon healthy, he has to get his opportunities, right? He has to touch the ball sometime. He's not going to be benched if Mitchell's hurt, if Mostert's out, Jeff Wilson's still hurt, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, you just got to chalk it up, man. You got to hold on to Sermon just a little bit longer. I'm not cutting him just yet. I'm not trading him just yet. I just still want parts of that backfield if I'm going to make the decision to have a San Francisco running back as a flex play. Then I'm gonna keep on to whatever I have. So my level of concern is at a 7. Now, moving on to the next guy that was supposed to be a fifth round, high end RB2, basically like a RB1 some weeks, Mike Davis for the Falcons. And then you got Cordell Patterson taking all the touches, all the relevant touches, that's to say. Mike Davis just does not look good. He does not look good in that Falcons offense. He does not look good, trying to catch passes out of the backfield. He's blocking majority of the time. Patterson's coming in as the new hot guy. That's the running back, wide receiver hybrid. I don't know what to do with Mike Davis, but he will be strictly played off of matchups. My level of concern, based on what his price was, is an 8. Moving forward, I cannot put him in starting lineups confident to think that he's going to put up big points. With the offense just looks bad. Matt Ryan looks terrible. I know they made a comeback somewhat against the Bucs, but Matt Ryan was doing very, very weird things in the beginning of the first half, and Mike Davis wasn't helping at all. So, Mike Davis, you get the bench until further notice, basically. So, moving on to Saquon Barkley. Now, Saquon Barkley, everybody was panicking. Week 1, he didn't get that many touches. My level of concern off the bat is at a 1. Is that a 1 for the simple fact that he burst off for a 41-yard run against Washington. I definitely think he has that home run ability still in him. I'm not worried about the injury, but come on, guys. We already knew the first 3 weeks that he was going to be on the short leash, that they were going to kind of hold him back. I'm not tripping off of Saquon Barkley until we see him in week 4 where the workload is expanded and he gets the full send. I'm definitely expecting him to have like 20 touches again this season. I'm not panicking too crazy. I'm not going to be going all out saying, oh, Saquon Barkley on the trade block. Like, no. He has the home run ability. For him to bust off for that 41-yard run, that lets me know everything I know. It only takes 1 touch for Barkley to take it to the house. He's a freak athlete, so I'm going to pump the brakes. My level of concern is a level 1. Not hitting the panic button at all. Level 1 for Saquon Barkley. Hold tight. If you want to bench him next week, go ahead. But if he busts off for another 40-yarder and it ends up being a touchdown, you're going to be kicking yourself. So last up for the panic button, Zeke. He had 71 yards. I definitely think what I mentioned earlier, that both these running backs can coexist. I'm not panicking about Zeke, only for the simple fact that Zeke is also another freak athlete who has that home run ability. Now, Tony Pollard getting the touches doesn't really bother me that much, but if I'm going to be honest with myself, being that the price that we spent on Zeke, my level of concern is probably at like a 5. Halfway, I'm not too crazy about it, but it is in the back of my mind. There might be weeks where Zeke has the better matchup, but Tony Pollard takes advantage of it. That's definitely on the table. That's more, so of like a Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt situation where they both can coexist, but Nick Chubb ends up benefiting off of the matchup. So again, there could be times where Tony Pollard could end up being the guy, but hey, I'm not too concerned about Zeke. I'm not jumping ship. Level 5. Let's go with that. Level 5. I'm not tripping off of Zeke. I think he is still a freak athlete as well with the home run ability. And look, a ton of scoring opportunities for both these running backs with Dak throwing like 450 yards every game. Come on, man. What are we really talking about? Zeke, the freak, is going to be fine. It's only week 2, not panicking whatsoever going into week 3. So that wraps it up. Another great show of the Fantasy Football Picks and Bets. Make sure you guys hit the link in the bio. Sign up today to prizepicks.com. Use promo code MMN. You guys will be matched at $100. So please sign up today. It's not too late. Week 3 is on the way. Hopefully you guys like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week for another great episode. Peace.